الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I begin, I apologize for being late. The rahmah of Allah was descending intensely and immensely, and there was an accident on the road. So we got a few minutes late. That's not excuses, yeah? Haqiqatan. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man ihtada amma ba'd. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل وألهمنا رشدنا يا رب العالمين. قال الله تعالى: وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق. صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected Muslims, in the year 1965, Muhammad Shafi rahmatullahi alayh, Mufti Muhammad Shafi rahmatullahi alayh, delivered a lecture and a sermon in Karachi in Pakistan. And as he addressed the congregation in front of him, he reminded them of something he had heard from a senior scholar from the subcontinent region when he was a young student. And he says that when I listened to Shaykhul Hind rahmatullahi alayh, and Shaykhul Hind rahmatullahi alayhi was a senior scholar who under the British colony was sent and imprisoned in Malta. And upon his release from prison, Shaykhul Hind sat in front of the congregation in which Mufti Muhammad Shafi was present. And he told and he addressed the congregation and he said to them, إِنِّي تَفَكَّرْتُ ثُمَّ تَفَكَّرْتُ ثُمَّ تَفَكَّرْتُ. I was imprisoned in Malta. I had some of my students with me. And in prison, what does a person have? Nothing but time. And he said, I started pondering what was the reason why the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ was experiencing what they were experiencing at that time in terms of hardship and difficulty. And he says, as I pondered and I introspected and I thought, I came to the conclusion that the reason why the ummah is suffering is because of two things, according to his understanding. And he said, number one was hajruhum al-Quran. One of the reasons why we as an ummah are suffering is because we have become distant from the kalam of Allah. And the second reason why we are suffering, he says is وَشِقَاقُهُمْ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُمْ. Because of the internal conflict that has gripped the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ. When you and I over the next few days will tune into Haramain, and we will watch the Hujjaj go from Mina to Muzdalifah. And they will go to all these sacred spaces. They will all gather in Arafah. They will go in these maqamat. People will be doing tawaf of the Kaaba. They have two pieces of cloth that they are wearing. And they are doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And there's a person who's white and a person who's black. There's no distinction of class. There's no distinction of race. There's no distinction of color. There's no distinction of social standing. At that moment, circling and going around the Kaaba, every Hajj knows, I am an ummati of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I am a person who has no virtue over anyone. I can't look down on anyone. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Once Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik, the Khalifa of the time, he comes to Al-Masjid al-Haram. And as he comes close to Al-Masjid al-Haram, he's looking through the crowd and he's trying to locate a scholar. Who's the scholar that he's trying to locate? The scholar he's looking for is a man who was known as the Grand Mufti of Makkah al-Mukarramah. It was a man who was given the title of the Grand Mufti. It was an individual who, in the absence of Abdullah ibn Abbas, no one was allowed to give fatwa except this alim and this scholar of deen. So when Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik surfs the crowd and he looks around and he locates the scholar, he goes to the scholar and he sits in line in order to speak and converse and ask the scholar some questions. And this scholar was someone who maybe many people across the globe today would look down on them. Many people won't even take them serious. And even in our own community, and when I say community, ours, I mean the subcontinent, racism is so prevalent within our own societies. And when he lines up to listen to this man, the man was African descent. Ata bin Abi Rabah rahmatullahi alayhi. So the two sons of Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik say to the father, Oh, our father, you're the Khalifa, you're the VIP, you're the most important person in the Ummah as of now. Why are you waiting in line to speak to this scholar? And the response of the Khalifa of the time is a response and a lesson that you and I take from Hajj. And he says to his young boys around him, oh my beautiful young sons, لا يفضل أحد أحدا في هذا المقام إلا بالعلم والتقوى. Oh my boys, in different places across the globe, there may be social standing. And the more network you have, the more people you know, the more respect you are afforded. But here, when it comes to the deen of Islam, oh my young boys, the way a person gains that fadila is through taqwa and taqwa alone. Today, the ummah has become broken. Today, we're fragmented. Discord and disunity has become the order of the day. And we need to understand, if you study the lives of Sahaba and pay attention carefully to what I'm saying, if you study the lives of Sahaba, the Sahaba had one teacher, the Rasul ﷺ. They had one curriculum, the Quran and the Sunnah. They had few spaces where they spent time with the Rasul. But post the demise of the Rasul ﷺ, when Sahaba and Tabi'un in Kufa sometimes traveled to Mecca and Medina and they met Sahaba and Tabi'un in Mecca and Medina, they realized that we have a difference of opinion. Unity does not mean uniformity. The Ummah, we will stand side by side. We may perform salah differently. Sahaba had ikhtilafat. Sahaba had difference of opinion. They never had mukhalafat. They never had enmity and animosity. All of their opinions were rooted in Qala Allah and Qala Rasul. Unfortunately today, when we disagree with someone, we haven't mastered the art of agreeing to disagree. We feel if I do something a certain way and someone does it different to how I do it, I am right and they are wrong. And yes, we may be allowed to believe that. But does that mean we look down on people? Does that mean we belittle the ilm of the ulama? We hear people with no knowledge speaking against scholars who have sacrificed their entire life in the acquisition of deen. And someone who's never opened books of fiqh saying, what does that scholar think he's saying? What does she think she's doing? The ummah has become so broken. The first way and the first lesson you and I take from the Hajj is as he's doing tawaf around the Kaaba, as he's going bayna Safa wal Marwa, he's not focused on what madhab do you follow, how do you perform your salah. Everything as long as it is rooted within Qala Allah and Qala Rasul. Everything that is rooted within the Sharia, legislated by Allah and His Prophet, there is open and there's discussions that can take place. This ikhtilaf and this difference of opinion serves as a rahmah for the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ. But unfortunately today we're broken. We're fragmented. Masajid and different masajid don't get along with one another. You do something like this, I do it like that. And as an ummah we've become so weak. But when we look at Al-Makkatul Mukarramah and we look at the Hujjaj moving together, Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafah, coming back for tawaf, we see that unity in the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ. One of the ways you and I can learn unity is we make salam with one and all. The Rasul ﷺ comes to Madinatul Munawwarah. And when Rasulullah ﷺ came to Medina, لم ترى المدينة مثل يوما مثله قبله ولا بعده. Medina had never seen a day like the day of the arrival of the Rasul ﷺ. The young children had gathered. طلع البدر علينا جاء رسول الله جاء نبي الله. The entire community of Medina felt a sense of euphoria, joy and jubilation at the arrival of the greatest of humans. And when Rasulullah ﷺ comes to Medina, what's the legislation of Madinatul Munawwarah? What's the governing factor of Madinatul Munawwarah? In the first or one of the first few speeches that Rasul ﷺ gave, he gathered Sahaba. And Sahaba are gathered around the Rasul. And Rasulullah ﷺ begins with the legislation of Madinatul Munawwarah will be a few things. Number one is Afshu Salam. Make the salam prevalent amongst you. In one hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ is seated with Sahaba and he tells them, أَوَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ إِذَا فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ. Oh my Sahaba, should I give you a recipe through which you will love one another mutually? Sahaba radiallahu anhum stay silent as though to say, Bala ya Rasulullah. And then Rasulullah ﷺ says to them, أَفْشُ السَّلَامَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Make salam common and prevalent amongst you. That doesn't mean I only make salam to someone who shares the same skin color as me. That doesn't mean I only make salam to someone I know, because the hadith of the Rasul ﷺ says, "Ala man arafta wa man lam ta'rif." When you see someone and you know them or you don't know them, but you share the kalima with them, you give them a greeting of peace. What does salam mean? What does salam mean? Salam is an attribute of Allah. When I say salam to my brother, it means that from my side I will ensure that I don't harm you. It means that I will ensure that I don't hurt you. Because when we enter Jannah and Allah take us all to the highest maqam in Jannah, it will be said to us, Salamun alaykum bima sabartum fa ni'ma uqbad dar. Today we see someone and we know them, we make salam to them. And someone that we don't know or we look down upon, we ignore them. That's not the way of the Rasul ﷺ. We speak bad and ill about people behind their backs. وَذِي حَسَدٍ يَغْتَابُنِي حَيْثُ لَا يَرَانِي وَيُثْنِي صَالِحًا عَلَيَّ حَيْثُ أَسْمَعُ. My brother, unfortunately, when I'm not there, he's speaking ill of me. And when I'm around him, oh no, you're an amazing person. And it's our own, within our own communities, we're hurting one another. We're hurling abuse at one another. We're hurling accusations at one another. The Urdu poet so beautifully said it. Jab teer laga to itna dard na hua ghalib. Jab teer laga to itna dard na hua ghalib. Dard tab hua jab kaman apno ke haathon mein dekha. When the arrow struck me, I felt no pain. When the arrow struck my body, I felt nothing. But when I turned around and I saw that the person releasing the arrow was my own, then I couldn't ever forget the pain that I experienced. We are in a time, نحن في زمان إخوانه ليس بإخواني. We are in a time where brothers unfortunately are not brothers. Where brothers unfortunately are not brothers. When a person sees someone, يلقاك بوجه طلق, they'll meet you with a smiling face. But the moment you go away from them, وإذا ما غبت عنه رماك بالزور والبهتان, and they start hurling accusations. Salam and unity in the ummah is the most important thing we need at this time. When the enemy, हाथ बांधने या छोड़ने पे इतने बहस मत करो, दुश्मन हाथ काटने की साजिश में लगे हैं. We are delving overly deeply into these fiqhi differences, which there is scope for, which we are allowed to have, when the enemy is focused on destroying the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ. When you and I see Hajj, it should create within me that fervor that I want to be a means of uniting the ummah of the Rasul ﷺ. Every one of us is on a journey to Allah. Every one of us is on a journey, we hope and we pray to Jannah. Why have we become so broken? In one home, brothers are not forgiving brothers. In one home, sisters are not speaking to sisters. When you do tawaf around the Kaaba, there will be a time, even if it's Hajj or Umrah, someone will push you. Someone may step on your feet. Someone may hurt you accidentally, and immediately you forgive them. The second lesson we take from Hajj, my dear respected Muslims, is when someone does something wrong to you, have a heart that forgives people. Have a heart that overlooks and pardons people. Have a heart that is tolerant of the deficiencies within people. Because every single one of us has weaknesses. No person seated here today is perfect. Why do we expect perfection from others? The Rasul ﷺ, his daughter Zainab radiyallahu ta'ala anha, before I come to that, my time is limited. Rasulullah ﷺ is seated with Sahaba. And imagine this gathering and someone walks past and Rasulullah ﷺ says, that's a Jannati. The next day the Sahaba are seated, a man walks past, that's a Jannati. The third day Sahaba are seated, the same man walks past, that's a Jannati. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma says, and Sahaba were different. Whenever they saw an opportunity to come close to Allah, they capitalized. إني أحب أبا حفص وشيعته كما أحب عتيقا صاحب الغار وقد رضيت بعلي قدوة وما رضيت بقتل الشيخ في الدار كل الصحابة ساداتي فهل علي بهذا القول من عاري. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu says, I saw the man, I followed him home, I knocked on his door. And I told him, my brother, there's some internal conflict I'm having at home. Can I spend the night at your house? So he allowed me to do so. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu says, this man is a Jannati. So I stayed awake the entire night. And my objective was, how do I understand what is this man doing that's special that has earned him Jannah? And he says, I was expecting him to perform tahajjud the entire night. I was expecting him to engage in tilawah of Quran the entire night. I was expecting him to engage in dhikr the entire night. But the Sahabi slept through the night. And he says, I was a bit shocked. And I thought maybe I caught him on a bad day and I stayed the second night. He says, the second night, I'm awake, I'm vigilant, I'm focused, I'm locked in. And the Sahabi is sleeping and the night passes. He says, I stayed the third night. And again, I'm locked in, I'm focused, I'm vigilant, I'm watching him. And again, the Sahabi sleeps the entire night. And I'm confused. How are you a Jannati? Many a time, yes, tahajjud, every person should endeavor to perform tahajjud. But many a time, the door and the road and the path to Jannah is just ensuring we don't hurt people. Ensuring that our hearts are clean. So he says, on the third day, I went to the Sahabi and the brother, the companion of the Rasul, and I told him, look, 3 days in a row you walk past, and Rasulullah said, you're a Jannati. And I've been watching you for 3 days. I haven't seen anything amazing. You sleep the entire night. And then the brother says, and the Sahabi responds to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma, and he says, I don't know what I've done. Today someone says to you, brother, you know what, there was a reason someone said, you're very good. What have you done? We start listing our accolades. You know, I've done this, and I was president here, and I went Hajj 5 times. He says, I got nothing in me. He says, no, think, focus. The Rasul said, you're a Jannati, you're special. And then he says, the only thing I can think of is, every night before I go to sleep, I cleanse my heart and I forgive everyone and anyone who has done anything wrong to me. When you and I learn to forgive people, when you and I learn to overlook the deficiencies of people, when you and I learn to pick up the phone and say, I'm sorry, when you and I learn to pick up the phone and say, we haven't spoken in years, why are we waiting for someone to die to make amends with other people? Why are we waiting for sickness to cripple someone before we build a bridge with that individual? We're breaking and burning bridges. But this ummah was all about being selfless, never selfish. Pick up the phone. You haven't spoken to someone in years and they've hurt you. Have an intention. Oh Allah, I am forgiving this person for whatever wrong they've done to me, only and solely for your happiness, and so that you can forgive me on the day when I will be in dire need of your forgiveness. The final lesson we take from the Hujjaj is, every Hajj wears 2 pieces of clothing. And you and I today are not in Mina. You and I today are not physically in Hajj. But every single one of us, whether we like it, dislike it, accept it, deny it, we have to go on our own Hajj, on our own journey. The Hajj of the dunya is a temporary journey. The Hajj towards Akhirah is a permanent journey. The Hajj wears 2 pieces of cloth. Whether we like it or not, one day I will be clothed in 2 pieces of cloth. One day you will be clothed in 2 pieces of cloth. The Hujjaj, they board their flight. They land to Jeddah or Medina or Riyadh or wherever they land. And they go to the carousel and they get their bags and they're looking for their items. They drive to their hotel. They check into their hotel. And the first thing you do when you check into a hotel is you rip off the curtains, the blinds. What do I get to see? You and I also are on a journey. But that journey of ours is a permanent journey to Akhirah. And instead of boarding a flight, we will be carried on the shoulders of people. Instead of going to the carousel and looking and trying to locate your bags, you will be taken to a graveyard, which is your hotel. And that graveyard will be your place of residence. Your grave and your qabr will be your room. And like in the dunya, you ripped off the curtain to see, do I have the Kaaba view? Do I have the view of the green dome? In that grave, in that room of the grave, there will also be a furja, a small window. And we make dua to Allah that when you and I look through that window in the grave, and we're trying to determine what's my view, it's a view and the scent and the fragrance of Jannah. We make dua to Allah that on this journey to Akhirah, when you and I are lowered into the qabr, and wallahi, brothers and sisters, we don't think about the qabr enough. We don't ponder over the journey of Akhirah enough. When was the last time without the death of someone? And I speak to myself first. We took a stroll through the graveyard. Inni nahaytukum an ziyaratil qubur fazuruha. Rasulullah says, oh my Sahaba, there was a time where I prohibited you from visiting the graveyard. But now I'm encouraging you, take a stroll. See what investments you've made. See that land where one day will be your home, where one day you will be lowered. People and your family will crowd around you. And your bags in the dunya was your suitcase and your tag number and the sticker that you had. But in that grave, your bags will be the bags of a'mal and your deeds. And after they've placed you in your qabr, people will start throwing soil and earth over you. And they'll continue to throw until the ground is leveled. People will leave. Your son and your daughter may stay for the longest time. Your father and your mother may stay for the longest time. Your brother and your sister may stay for the longest time. But by the qasam of Allah, no person will spend the night with you in that graveyard. The sun will set. Darkness will envelop. Silence will be loud. And the footsteps, the hadith of Abu Dawood, يَسْمَعُ خِفَاقَ نِعَالِهِمْ. The person in the grave will hear the footsteps of the people who came to his grave. They're going further and further and further away. The Hujjaj generally go for Hajj, they have a return ticket. This journey to Akhirah doesn't have a return into dunya. You're not going and you're not having a return ticket. I know I'm flying out on the 21st. No. This is a permanent journey to Akhirah. And the question we have to ask ourselves when we see that Hajj, tawaf around the Kaaba, Safa and Marwa, when we see them in Mina and Muzdalifah and Arafah, and then we have to think to ourselves, I'm not there with them, but I also have to undergo a journey. And am I ready for this journey? Am I ready for the deafening silence of the graveyard? Am I ready to be addressed by the grave? خرجت من التراب عدت إلى التراب خرجت بلا ذنب وعدت وكلك الذنوب. We make dua to Allah that He take every single one of us for Hajj. No matter how expensive it seems, I'll conclude with this. In 2015, there was a person from Indonesia and he went for Hajj at the age of 84 or 86 years old. And when he went for Hajj, someone interviewed him. And there was an article that was released. And he said, from my mid-20s, I used to save 20 cents a day. My occupation was I was a janitor. Every day, 20 cents I used to save. At the end of the week, a little extra change. And he says, after about 50 years, when the price of the Hajj was $4,000 to $5,000, Allah has allowed me to perform Hajj. Have an intention. Make some preparation. Because that's a journey that will prepare us for the journey into Akhirah. Or make dua to Allah that He allow every single one of us. We have millions and billions of dollars, zero after zero in the bank account. But yet we haven't been taken for Hajj. And now the system is changing. Make an intention and make a firm intention. Oh Allah, accept me for this beautiful journey. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله أحمد الله رب العالمين حمد عباده الذاكرين الشاكرين، وصلاة وسلاما على سيد الخلق صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، أيها الإخوة الكرام، كيف يكون الحب بين الناس وسيلة لقوة المجتمع؟ في قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. إن الصحابة من الأوس والخزرج ومن المهاجرين والأنصار عندما كان حبهم صادقا لله وفي الله تحقق فيهم قول الحق في الآية: وألف بين قلوبهم. لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم، ولكن الله ألف بينهم إنه عزيز حكيم. وهنا فقط أصبحوا قوة بين العالم كله، حتى استطاعوا أن يسقطوا أعظم قوتين في التاريخ في ذلك الوقت طبعا، هما الفرس والروم، في أقل من 10 سنوات. في أقل من 10 سنوات. وهذا الزمن لا يساوي شيئا في أمر الحروب. تحقق فيهم ذلك. لماذا يحبهم بعضهم لبعض؟ إذن من مستلزمة الإيمان أن يحب المسلم أخاه المسلم في الله ولله. فلن تجد مسلما يؤذي مسلما أو يأكل حقه أو يغش أو يأخذ أكثر من حقه. فإذا أحب المسلم أخاه المسلم فإنه سيؤثره على نفسه ولو كان به خصاصة. كما أن الصحابة رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين في أحد المعركة اشتد بهم العطش والجوع، فجاء صحابي بالماء وكانوا 3 وكانوا بين الحياة والموت، فأعطى الأول الماء فقال: إن أخي أحوج مني. ثم أعطى الثاني الماء فقال: إن أخي أحوج مني. ثم أعطى الثالث الماء فقال: إن أخي أحوج مني، وهم 3. ثم رجع إلى الأول فوجده قد مات. ثم رجع إلى الثاني فوجده قد مات. ثم رجع إلى الثالث فوجده قد مات. فرأينا حبا في الله صدق فيهم قول الله تعالى: محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه مباركا عليه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد المصطفى الذي أمرنا رب العزة والجلال بطاعته والاهتمام بأمره والانتهاء عن مناهيه، كما أمرنا رب العزة والجلال بالصلاة والسلام عليه في محكم كتابه فقال: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه بررة الكرام، خصوصا على الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين، وعن سائر الصحابة أجمعين والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم بمنك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين. اللهم ارحمنا بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لنا إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة. اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا، وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار، واجعله لنا حجة يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين وفي سودان وفي آسام وفي كل مكان. اللهم اكس عاريهم وأطعم جائعهم وآمن خوفهم يا رب العالمين. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
سووا صفوفكم وسدوا الخلل. Please ensure there's no gaps. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا
الضالين. إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ولؤلؤا ولباسهم فيها حرير وهدوا إلى الطيب من القول وهدوا إلى صراط الحميد. إن الذين كفروا ويصدون عن سبيل الله والمسجد الحرام الذي جعلناه للناس سواء العاكف فيه والباد ومن يرد فيه بإلحاد بظلم نذقه من عذاب أليم. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين ولن يؤخر الله نفسا إذا جاء أجلها والله خبير بما تعملون. الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just one quick announcement, inshallah. I moved to Massachusetts in 2018, and now, inshallah, the time has come for me to move on. And I've been a khatib in this masjid for approximately the last year, every 6 weeks. And every time I've come, I've gone over time every time. So from the bottom of my heart, please do forgive me, keep me in your du'as. I will make dua to Allah that alaykum bi salamillahi anni rahilu wa aynaya min huzn at-tafarruq tadma'u fa in 'ishna fallahu yajma'u baynana wa in nahnu mutna fal qiyamatu tajma'u. And also, inshallah, I know we've got a graduation here after Maghrib today. We have our hifz graduation, 2 boys and 1 girl who will complete their hifz, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in Marlborough Masjid al-Rahim. It's Dhul Hijjah, let's maximize. You can go there, then you can definitely come here. We hope to see everyone there. Barakallahu feekum.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallahu khairun, Sheikh. We don't mind him going over time, and we want to thank him very much for all the time that he spent with us and impacted knowledge onto us. We are very grateful to him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make his next journey a successful one and preserve him, so inshallah we can see him again and again, inshallah. Say Ameen. So quick announcements. We have announcements for Eid. Please pay attention to this. I don't want people saying we didn't hear the announcement. Inshallah, Eid will be on Sunday. We have 2 salats. The first one is at 7:30. Takbir starts at 7 o'clock. The second one is at 10:30. Takbir starts at 10 o'clock. Parking, we have a parking down the street at 115 Northeast Cutoff. There will be a shuttle from there to the masjid almost every 10 minutes or so. Please, because it's a Sunday, the church parking lot is not available. Please pay attention, and I don't want the church to complain that even though they have their own service, that our people are blocking them. Please take note of that. That's why we've made this shuttle announcement. It's very important that everybody takes note of that. Tonight, we have Friday night halakha and Sunday school graduation. We're also going to have iftar here. So if you are fasting today, join us for iftar tonight. It will be right after Maghrib, inshallah. So we hope to see everybody here, and inshallah, we hope to see everybody for Eid.